which makes me think of that guy right there, Sloth, and now I need a baby Ruth. Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce. This is a 6.5 millimeter Carcano cartridge. A obsolete round, a very old round. The 6.5, but it's still thought of as a capable cartridge. Now, I was looking for a project. I just went to see the eclipse and then got stuck in the most hellacious traffic known to mankind. While stuck in traffic, I thought, what is my next project? I've always got a project cooking up. What can be my next project? And I realized that I need to shoot. I've never shot any of my 6.5 Carcano cartridge or caliber rifles. I have not one, not two, but three. I have three rifles chambered in 6.5 Carcano, and I have never shot them. I don't have them up right here. I'll put them up there in a second. But I've never shot them, and the main reason why is because you can't find ammo. So I Googled that up and found out that yes, you can in fact buy brand new manufactured 6.5 Carcano ammo. And then I did a little more research, and a rabbit hole opened up underneath my feet that was deeper than the Marianas Trench. Okay, I've got them all laid out here for you guys. Here are my three rifles chambered in 6.5 Carcano. Now, the very top one here, this is my latest purchase. They're all in rough shape. That's just the nature of the game with these old military surplus and, in this case, antique. Actually, both of these are antiques, I believe. But this one on top is an Italian Veterli. They started out life in the late 1800s, 1880s, I think. And they were chambered in 10.4 millimeter or something like that. I think it's black powder even. And then later were converted to shoot the 6.5 Carcano cartridge. The other two rifles, a short and long Mannlichers. They are very cool, very old, very worn out, but all chambered in 6.5 Carcano. Now the 6.5 Carcano cartridge, it was designed in like 1889, 1890, was in service from 1891 to 1970. You heard that right. The 6.5 Carcano cartridge was in service just a few years after the light bulb was invented, all the way to after the moon landing. That is incredible. Now, this cartridge is also known as a 6.5 by 52. Now, it is a rimless cartridge, a very, very early rimless cartridge. Here is another cartridge designed about the same time period as the 6.5 Carcano. This is the 7.62 by 54R. The R stands for rimmed. As you can see right there, it has a rim versus the 6.5 Carcano does not. It's rimless, which may be one of the first rimless cartridges out there, along with the 7.5 Swiss cartridge. I'm not sure which one was designed first, but both of them were super early adopters of the rimless design. In the name 6.5 Carcano, the 6.5 designates the diameter of the bullet, 6.5 millimeters. But this 6.5 millimeters is different than this 6.5 millimeter. This is the 6.5 Creedmoor. This is the 6.5 Carcano. Now, quite a bit different design as far as the case is concerned, but the bullets should be about the same, but they aren't. The diameter of the bullet on a 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge measures out at 0.264 inches in diameter. But the diameter of the bullet that goes in a 6.5 Carcano cartridge is 0.628 inches in diameter. So they are very different, although they are named the same 6.5 millimeter. Here are the bullets that I use for my 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge design here when I'm reloading, if I can get the glare off of that. Come on, can focus there. There we go. That is what I shoot on my rifles that are chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. So the 6.5 millimeter bullets I have on hand already are too small. So I had to go out, source a larger 6.5 millimeter bullet, and I found them. Here they are right here. The 6.5 millimeter bullet measuring 2.68 inches in diameter. Perfect, or so I thought. The larger size 6.5 Carcano bullets can be used safely in the two Mannlicher rifles I have right there. All three of these are from Italy because this is an Italian design and used cartridge. Unfortunately, because the Veterli right there, every time I mention the name of that rifle, Veterli, my mind goes to Fratelli, which is the name of the bad guys from the Goonies, which makes me think of that guy right there, Sloth, and now I need a baby Ruth. Due to the fact that the Vetterli rifle was not originally chambered in 6.5 Carcano, but later converted to 6.5 Carcano from a much larger and lower pressure cartridge, it is not really up to snuff like the other two rifles in containing a full power modern day 6.5 Carcano cartridge. Now, because of this, the experts in the field, the people who have been there and done that, they do not recommend to use the larger 6.5 bullet, the .268 diameter bullet. They recommend to go back down to the modern .264 bullet for your 6.5 Carcano needs in the Vetterli rifle. You can use these smaller projectiles in the more modern rifles, but you will lose a little bit of accuracy doing that. As far as the reloading setup is concerned, I went with the Lee Precision 6.5 Carcano dies here. There were a few different options for companies that make die sets for the 6.5 Carcano cartridge. From my preliminary research, only Lee offered a die set that was designed to use the smaller diameter 6.5 bullet. Here is Lee's decapping die for the 6.5 Carcano. And basically it decaps, which means it removes the primer, it pushes out the primer with that little pin right there. And inside here, there's a mandrel that reforms the neck of the cartridge. There is the neck of the cartridge right there. There's a hole, of course, where the bullet is pushed into, and then this whole thing is tightened down. If you use a too large of a mandrel to open this whole neck up too far, then the bullet is not going to be tight in that neck, and it could fall out under recoil. It could be pushed in under recoil when it's in the magazine. You fire it, the whole gun pushes back, and that could, if your bullet is loose in there, push the bullet back into there, causing an overpressure situation. You don't want that. Trust me, I have been there. I have seen that movie. Now, does Hordney or the other manufacturer of this die set, do they offer a smaller diameter mandrel? I have no idea, because the second reason why I went with the Lee Precision die set is because it was at least 1/3, if not a quarter of the price of what the other manufacturers were offering, because this is an oddball cartridge. No one shoots this, no one reloads for this except for my dumbass. That Vetterli rifle alone, that is the reason why I'm having to use a smaller diameter bullet. I'm having to use a die set meant to reload that smaller diameter bullet. And because that is a converted from a different, much lower pressure cartridge, I'll also be using a smaller charge, a reduced charge of 5744 here. This is a very common powder for rifles. If you're not familiar with 5744, it is an extruded powder. It is very good at reduced loads. It even mentions that in the back here. If you try to use a powder that was not designed for reduced charge, but you go ahead and try to reduce that charge anyway, you could have all kinds of weird ignition problems where the powder is not ignited in the right sequence or the right area of your gun, and you end up with a spike in pressure, which would be dangerous in something that requires a reduced charge. It even mentions you can use this for 4570 government cartridges, which is, of course, a black powder cartridge. But if you're not using black powder, you can use a massively reduced 5744 charge in there, and you'd be good to go with that big old cruise missile of a 4570 government. The YouTube channel C and Arsenal, they reviewed the Vetterli rifle, the exact one that I've got there, and they blew up 2 of their 3 examples. So that does not bode well for my endeavors here. But they were using full power cartridges and the full large size 6.5 bullets. So they were kind of swimming upstream there with that kind of mentality. And that's one of the reasons why I think they blew up 2 of their 3 rifles. They kept on reducing the charge, but they continued to still use the larger projectiles, which apparently from the experts is a no-no for the Vetterli. That being said, I don't think CN Arsenal is a bad channel. It's a great channel with incredibly good information, but not everyone is right all the time. I think Bob Dylan said that once. So that is the rabbit hole I went down when I decided to reload for the 6.5 Carcano cartridge. Now, I'm going to put this video out into the ether world, and I'm going to let all the experts out there, or people who are way more knowledgeable about this cartridge than I am, to pick through this video, tell me things that I'm doing right, tell me things I'm doing wrong, and put that in the comments below. If you got some ideas on a better gunpowder to use, a better bullet to use than this sucker right here, if you have some options, some opinions on that, and you've been there and done that, please let me know down in the comments down below. I try to answer as many of those as possible, and any kind of help anybody can give me for this cartridge, please let me know, because I am all ears. As always, You guys have a great day. See ya.